going to hit record, make sure we've got that happening. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes here as you are coming into the room. So if you are someone that is watching this as a recording, welcome. What you're hearing me say right now is not happening live, as this would be a recording to you. So you wouldn't have the option of typing into the chat bar if you're listening to this as a recording, but any questions you do have either throughout or at the end, write them down and then definitely reach out. You can actually send them to me personally, jen@jenpike.com, and then I can answer those questions for you. So while we are giving it a few more minutes here, a couple of things. You could have a notebook and pen nearby. This isn't really, this is an info session tonight. So those of you that have arrived here this evening, you are here because you are curious about the Audacious Woman. You've maybe heard me talking about it recently, or maybe last year when I launched it. Maybe you know a woman who took the Audacious Woman mentorship with me last year. And so you're here because you're curious. And I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your night. Some of you, I know a lot of you, you're Eastern Standard Time, so it's 7:30. I'm on Pacific, so it's 4:30. I do still have some light, which is a good thing. And yeah, so I just want you to be able to sit back. I'm going to take you through and really help you to understand what exactly is involved in this, why I created this, how it is nothing like anything else that I teach and that I offer in my community. This is not a health program. We do not do testing in this program. It's not like the Hormone Project. It's not the Simplicity Project. It's not Synced. It's not any of those things. This is for a very specific woman. And I take a very small group. It's 10 months long, and I take 10 women that I work with and that we work together with as a group. So like my other programs where we're working with hundreds of women, that is not this. And so it's a higher touch. It is very different. And I'm going to take you through what those differences are tonight. So I'm going to walk you through the why. I'm going to walk you through the concept, the philosophy of the Audacious Woman, what you get when you join the Audacious Woman, what you can expect, and those types of things. So if you could actually, if someone can just write in the chat bar, hi, anything like that, hello, hi, your name, where you're from, that way I know you can hear me and you can see me. Hi, Kathy, hi, Irina, hi, Sarah, hi, Ruby, awesome. Okay, great, thank you. LP, I think that's Leanne, right? LP. Jennifer, amazing. Okay, thank you for those of you who wrote hi in there. I really appreciate that. Hi, Elizabeth. Oh, you are Nova Scotia. So you are, we are representing East Coast and West Coast. Here we go. Amazing. Okay, beautiful. So what I'll ask as well too, I'm definitely going to have time for a Q&A. If you've ever attended anything I've taught before, I'm going to lead a little bit. I'm going to talk. I'm going to give you the information, and then I'm going to come and ask like any questions about that. And then we'll kind of do this dance and go back and forth from there. And yes, it's being recorded. Give us about 48 hours to get the recording back out to you. And you can also feel free to share this with any other women in your life that you think might benefit from the conversation. I know I said at the beginning, like this isn't a workshop, this isn't a masterclass, it's info, but I can guarantee you there is still going to be something that you hear tonight that comes through you that is going to create a spark or is going to create a shift, regardless of whether or not you end up joining me to work together for the next 10 months. And in those 10 months, we actually start as a group in December. And we are going to be working together all the way through until September of next year. So we move through every season together as a community. It is women only that come into this. All of my work is women only. But I will tell you that you as the woman, the individual stepping into this, the work you do and the shifts that happen inside of this mentorship, they penetrate into every other area of your life that also impact in a really beautiful way your children, your partner, your coworkers, your business, your company. I have entrepreneurs who come into this because they are just feeling so overwhelmed and scattered. I have women in corporate who come in because they are just like, I literally have dedicated all of my life and everything in me to, giving to the company, to building to a certain level. I have women come in who feel like that with their family. They've really just lost their identity. I have women where they're like, life is good right now. Like everything is actually going great, but I can feel like I'm sitting on the precipice of something massive. They have this passion project in them. They have this like yearning to step into the next level of the woman they can feel is in there, but they don't know how to actually like pull her to the surface. There can be fear, there can be shame, there can be lack of self-confidence. And so the Audacious Woman, for me, why I created this is, if I look back over the trajectory of my life, so I'm a 42-year-old woman sitting in front of you now. I have 2 children. I have a fur baby, Charlie, who is never too far away from me. I have run multiple companies, both brick and mortar businesses that I've owned and operated in person, and multiple companies and business ventures online. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 17. It is when I registered my first company, and that was fitness and personal training based. I have a massive background in human anatomy, biomechanics, and physiology. I'm a medical exercise specialist. I have every yoga, pre and postnatal certification under the sun, Pilates, CrossFit, you name it. I am a functional diagnostic nutritionist and have a specialty in women's health and hormones. All of that to say, life is wonderful. And still, there have been parts of me over the years where I struggled. I struggled to have boundaries. I struggled to know when it was the time to step in versus to pull back. I had a lot of mentorship in my years of my personal growth and business and all of those things, but it was all from men. I remember so many times sitting back and being like, where are the women that are modeling or doing the things that I want to be able to step into and showing how it could be possible? I just never believed that I had to choose between either having a successful company or having a successful marriage, between having my health or compromising my health in order to achieve the things that I wanted in my life, that I could still be the mom I wanted to be to my kids and still build the business that I wanted to. And I believed it, but I didn't necessarily live that way for a long time. I burned myself out. I over delivered. I overcomplicated things. I overwhelmed myself. And I got to a point where I started to really look outside of me, past the men, to the circles and the communities of women. And I could see them from afar, but they weren't in my kind of inner circle. And the close girlfriends that I had and some of the colleagues that were around me, things were changing for us equally. So I wasn't, partying as much, drinking as much. I wasn't hustling and grinding in business. So a lot of those relationships that were built on the foundations of that being what connected us, we still loved each other. We still, were friends and colleagues and all that. But the thing that connected us started to dissolve. And so I really began to move towards other women that I saw emulating what I wanted to feel, what I wanted to step into, this level of simplicity and ease that I had built a whole brand on, but wasn't yet actually tapping into in a truly tangible way, like in my body on a cell level. You see, for me, working, especially inside the Hormone Project, and I've been working in women's health for 24 years, every woman that I work with, or every woman that comes into our community, even if I'm not her primary coach and practitioner, she comes with this beautiful fabric and story about her. And we have been taught that the way that we heal our body, that we move through dis-ease, that we overcome signs and symptoms is purely based on what you eat, how you move, and your supplements. And that's actually not true. Those are the catalyst. Those are some of the micro movers that offer support. But if we're not dealing with what the boulders are in our life, or maybe they're like tiny little pebbles of things that have happened throughout the years, if we're not dealing with that, we are not recognizing the chronic low-grade stress or chronic low-grade inflammation that's just like little by little fraying the fabric of who we are. I often kin it to, it's like when you're filling up the bathtub and you've physically and visually have seen yourself put the plug in the drain, but it's not quite sitting right. And you walk away and you're like, you can still hear the water running. You see the water is rising, but there's this slow drip. There's this leak. And it's going to take twice the amount of time for that friggin' tub to fill because there's this little leak that you're not seeing. That is oftentimes how we show up in our life on a daily basis. We don't recognize or connect to that there's these small little leaks that are happening and potentially in multiple areas of our life. And that for me is, I was starting to recognize that I was burning out. I was stressing out. I was having things start to show up in my health where I was like, I have every tool in the toolbox as a practitioner. I have access to every other practitioner who knows the things that aren't my scope of practice. Why am I still struggling with X, Y, Z? And it wasn't until I really allowed myself to do the work of the personal growth, to do the work of healing a lot of the things that I was holding on to or that I was feeling and experiencing inside, that those things ultimately started to change for me. And when I started to do that and I started to share this with other women, and I started to bring those women into community and those women into circle, and I started to introduce them to a lot of the women and the people in my life who were helping me heal, they too were experiencing those same benefits. And so I sat back for a long time. If you've been following me, you know I am no stranger to creating new products and things. And for so many years, everyone kept asking me, can you create a mastermind? Can you create a course on something? Can you create a certification? And I was like, no, because all I kept hearing is more work. I worked so hard to create the boundaries in my life and in my time for myself and for my family. Every time someone would ask me or suggest to create something more, I would immediately put this block up. But that was also dampening this part of me where I was like, oh my God, I would love to create this. I would love to do it. And so I let it sit there for a few years until it got to the point where every time I was on my walk, and if you know me, you know I love my walks, it was like pounding in my head, you need to create this, you need to do this. And I knew I didn't want to call it a mastermind. And for me, it's just the energy around mastermind is very like businessy. And that's cool. It's awesome. I've been part of amazing masterminds. But this is a mentorship. And it's not a mentorship where I am the only person mentoring you. It is the community of women. And so the Audacious Woman is really about saying hello to yourself for the first time, or maybe the first time in just a very long time. It's acknowledging the whispers. It's feeling the discomfort. It's wanting more, but actually craving less and trying to figure out, like, how do you do that? How do you still do the things that you want to do? Because most of us as women, we're multi-passionate. You know, it's like the jack of all trades is the Jill of all trades. Like it's women who have their hands in these different pockets. And a lot of us, especially, and this is something, if you join in the Audacious Woman, I'm really going to help you understand your human design and kind of your archetype to really understand, like, I'm a projector. So as a projector, I have a finite amount of energy. And if I try to spread myself thin and I try to do too many things, I can do it for a period of time because I'm super passionate and I'm an activator. I can make it happen. But I'm not like a cell phone. I can't just plug myself in and my battery bars start to drop. I have to literally take more time to rest. I have to literally unplug in order to fill myself back up so I can show up again. Generators, my husband is a generator. One of my best friends is a generator. They literally can keep going and they can manage it without getting frazzled and out getting frayed. And so this is something else that you'll learn if you're inside of here, is not just understanding, like, who have you been told that you are? Don't listen to what anyone else tells you. Like, oh, you're just like your mother. You're just like your father. You're just like this person. That's part of some of the stories we're going to break up from. It's part of the patterning we're going to break up from, and part of the limiting beliefs. We are going to help you understand and identify, who are you? Who are you? And when we start to crack that wide open and get to that place for you, all of the things that you desire and want to feel and create and participate in, they will start to show themselves in a way that is going to feel much more simplistic and with greater ease. You're going to come home to yourself and you're going to come home to that purpose in a way where, yes, you're going to have to exercise some courage, but there's also going to be a whole lot of grace that's going to be involved in this. And so, you know, truthfully, I was meeting with Vanessa, who's our director of programming in my company yesterday. We had this like full day jam session. It was awesome. And, you know, she was like, in like one sentence, what do you really feel this is about now that you've done almost a full year with these women? And I was like, honestly, the Audacious Woman is learning the unapologetic art of dreaming big and manifesting your most fabulous life and self. So that's what we're going to move into tonight. Okay. So I want you to understand a couple of things. First is, you co-create everything in your life: your success, your joy, your lessons, your health, your wealth, your freedom, your time, your happiness. We are co-creating all of that in every single moment in our life. Sometimes we're just moving too quickly, or we get stuck in a rut and we don't pause and can't recognize that that's what's actually happening. And so my desire for the women that I work with is that you start to live your life by design instead of default, and that you understand that you don't have to work harder. This isn't going to be hard work coming into this mentorship for 10 months. This is going to be, do you know that none of the women have missed classes? They don't miss their monthly calls. They do not miss their retreats that I'm going to talk to you about that we do online. Like, I teach programs for a living. There's always people like they can't make it and all of that. These women show up, and the reason they show up is because it is frigging contagious. And it is like you're drinking from this beautiful elixir of the energy of the other women, and what you pull out of those calls that we spend a few hours every month and then days worth every couple of months together. What you pull from that literally is like you've got an IV drip of it that just keeps giving in your system for the days and the weeks that follow. And it is that you don't have to work harder. It is that you can be in more alignment, and those things will start to happen for you. I very much used to describe myself as the do-it-all girl, because that is who I was told I was my whole life. You've always got it figured out, Jen. You know, you're a natural leader. You can do it. It's amazing to watch how you get it all done. And I just started to like take that in as, yeah, like this is what I do. I'm multitasker. Like I got it. I can manage it. I don't need help from anyone. And it slowly broke me down in the ways, like I said in the beginning, that I couldn't pinpoint why was my thyroid being the way it was? Why was I losing hair? Why was I holding on to weight around my waist? Why was I not sleeping in the middle of the night? Why all these things? And so much of it was wrapped up in that. It's not because I had a vitamin deficiency, right? It rarely is it those things. So I am no longer the do-it-all girl. And I invite you, if you are resonating with this, to also drop the title. I invite you to reset, to realign, to restart, to reclaim, and to reignite who you truly want to be. In fact, who you truly are, that she's just down in there somewhere that has felt really difficult to be able to actually tap into. I want you to be able to picture who you're growing into. That if anything was possible, because it actually is, what would you create? What would your day feel like? What would your day look like? And this isn't this like, oh, create this romantic vision and think like, if I didn't have a job, if I didn't have kids. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop thinking that we have to discontinue living the life that we have, or not the job that we have, or the partner, or the kids, or where we live, or whatever the circumstances. That's what we get attached to, and why things can't happen for us, because we actually become the bottleneck. What could you do? Like, can you get up and go for a walk? Can you get up and have slow morning quiet time? Can you be honest with yourself on paper and write down how you're actually feeling and what you truly do desire? Who can you spend time with? When you do actually show up and have your best feeling day, or you do your best work, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Like, what is it that you're doing? How is that different from what you're currently doing right now? Why is that so important to you? I am going to ask you questions. Like the level and the quality of questions we are prepared to ask ourselves and to be asked by other people, they matter. And they are going to contribute to the experience of who you are. You know, leading a beautiful life, one that feels bold and courageous, and where you actually feel like you're stepping into this audacious woman that you know that you are, because you all know you have this in you. You wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't be listening to this recording. You'd be doing something else. It doesn't just happen. It takes showing up. It takes intention. It takes courage. It takes protection. So many of us, we need to learn how to be able to protect the things that matter the most to us, because other people, other events, and they're not doing it intentionally for the most part. If we allow them, they'll just like chip away at that. And it's, I think the most important spiritual or personal growth that we do, like, it doesn't happen on your bolster meditating or in pigeon pose in yoga. It happens in the midst of life. It happens in the muck. It happens in conflict. It happens when you're frustrated, when you're angry, when you're scared. It happens when you're frigging scared. Working with women for the amount of time that I have, and when I have conversations with them, like really good conversations, what comes out of their fear and their shame and their guilt and being truly afraid, being scared, is that they're actually just afraid of staying where they are, of doing the exact same things, and then later in life realizing that they actually had a different choice. It's fascinating to me when I work with women who are still menstruating, and they don't tend to have that energy. When I work with women who are in perimenopause and things are starting to change, it bubbles to the surface rapidly, rapidly. They're the women that'll get the most questions from, that are most worried about, am I doing it right? And how can I hold on to this? They want to white knuckle their way through all of it because change is happening and they're in the transition, and it's a long time. And transition and change is typically fucking uncomfortable when it is happening because it's different and we're not used to it. And then when they get to the other side of that big transformation, which is literally like this metamorphosis, when they get into menopause and beyond, there is this level of certainty and assurance and this frigging beautiful audacity that really steps forward. And so I work with women in all of those categories, women who are still fertile and menstruating, perimenopausal, menopause, and beyond. And it has allowed me to actually create this beautiful resource kit, this toolbox of knowing who I'm talking to and when and what that woman is going to need versus the other woman that I just spoke to before her. And it's understanding when I talk to these women who are in menopause, who no longer cycle, who have raised their children, they're at different phases of their life. The reflection they have is so potent and so powerful. And I take so much of what I learned from those women, and those women in the mentorship teach that to the women younger than them and the ones who have not yet experienced what they have. So we all benefit. This is the collective. It is referred to in yoga, we would call it kula. Kula is the community. And this is what we're lacking as women. We're lacking the community. We're lacking the direction. We are lacking being able to fully show up who we are in a way where you're not being judged, you're not being graded, you're not being marked. It's actually why I don't run any test in the Audacious Woman. That's the hormone project. That's very specific. The Audacious Woman is working with you and on you, the woman. I don't see any of the other stuff. I literally just see who you are. When I owned my in-person yoga studio, it was one of the hardest things to do, having a brick and mortar company and having the size team that I had, but it was one of the most rewarding. And I would oftentimes say to the women who would come into my classes, they would have this fear of not looking the right part, not having the right body shape, body size, not doing the pose the way that it was supposed to be done. And they would be having this whole internal experience in their mind, which was distracting them from their practice. And I would say to them so often, like, I don't see any of that when you come in this room. I don't see the parts of your body that you're thinking about. I don't see your injury. I don't see your limitation. I can't not look at a woman and simply just see all the potential and the beauty that is literally inside of her. My friends will laugh at me and say, like, you have a disease, Jen. Not everybody needs to be inspired and like a project for you. But I can't not see that. It's like I'm raising a 15-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy. And I look at my daughter and I'm like, oh my God, I just see it all. And then I look at her friends and I look at women and I'm like, you are the most incredible creation ever. And most of you are moving through life, not understanding a morsel of the potential that you have and not thinking that you deserve it. I think that's one of the things that actually hits me the most, is that most women, when you talk to them, they just feel like that's for other women. You might even be sitting here tonight and thinking about this and being like, that's for other women. And you'll come up with all the reasons why this isn't possible for you. You'll fight for your own limitations and already start to think of, because when you get nervous and you're like, oh shit, that sounds like some things are going to surface, what we'll tend to do, and this is normal, you're human, you're going to try and protect yourself, is we'll be like, let me just pull on out of that. when everything in you and that audacity that lives in there is really about like surrender, surrender, the surrender experiment. It is a real thing. So I am not here to force. I am not here to drag you, to pull you, to push you. None of it. I am simply here to help, to guide you so that you can understand for yourself what you need moving forward. And I think that we've had a lot of clarity emerge in the last couple of years, probably more clarity for people than they have in the last 10 years of their life, if you really truly ask them. And I think that if we can start to really ask ourselves now, like, what do I want? How do I want to feel? What am I willing to let go of? What could living in a different vibrational state look like for me? It'd be pretty amazing to see what's available. Knowing what you want and declaring it, it's not selfish. It's actually, it is imperative for you. I want you to understand how to reclaim your feminine power. This sacred mentorship program that I run, this is really for the woman who wants to dive into her body, her heart, her health, her hormones in a different way. We're not testing. I bring in an insane faculty of guest experts that come into some of our monthly meetings, that come into the 4 annual virtual retreats that we do. And I help you build your community outside of just the women that you're connecting with in the Audacious Woman. I also bring in some of the most badass women that I know in my life, who are colleagues, who are mentors of mine, who have helped me. And we do this in the area of your health. We do this in the area of divine feminine energy, really defining the difference between how are you showing up in a very androgynous, controlling, male, do 24/7 energy versus the feminine parts of you. How balanced or imbalanced are you in terms of that yin and that yang in your life? Where is the alignment or the misalignment showing up? This is massive. In everything that we went through as a group in this last year with the current ladies who are in the Audacious Woman, there was 2 workshops that stood out the most for them because I asked. And the first one was defining the divine feminine energy. Because what we think it is, the earrings, the lipstick, like letting a man do something for us, that's not what it's all about. And it's a very individual definition. I know for me, I showed up as a man for most of my life. That energy of like, I've got this, I don't need anyone else, I'll do it by myself. Push, grind, that is not feminine energy. Hustle is not feminine. Grind is not feminine. Grit has some femininity in it. Those other things are very androgynous. And without realizing it, that can be contributing to that chronic low gauge stress because you're just like, this is me. Or Jen, you don't know my life. This is what I have to do. I'm in survival. You're right, I don't. You also don't know what my life is or has been, or what my origin story is. And so when I sit here, I don't say things because I've read a book and I've heard it and it sounds like an awesome quote or a good meme or cliche. I don't create or offer anything out into the world that I don't have a very deep connection to. I don't think you can authentically show up and support other people otherwise. So please trust me and believe me when I'm saying I have a lot of stories too. And these things emerge in our group as well. We all share. I don't just sit back as a facilitator. There are tears shed. There are claps had, there are fist pumps, there are so many chats that happen outside of our group in our little private community that we have on our cell phones. It's really beautiful. This is about tuning in and trusting your intuition. We go into financial wealth. We go into money knowledge. We go into pleasure, sex, and intimacy, which was the second one that rocked the ladies in this group in such a powerful way. I was very trepidatious about like bringing in a sex educator and somebody to talk about pleasure as a woman and pleasure, not just in the way of orgasm, which we did talk a lot about that. We talk about our relationship with our sexual body and intimacy. And I'm very honest in telling you about that now, because if that's something where you're like, not this girl, it's not talking about that. You don't like fill out a quiz that you share with everyone. You don't have to share your story. Some people, you just sit back and you observe, but you still take it in. And that is what happened in the beginning. The first hour of that one, I was like, oh, this is not going well. Everyone was like so serious. And then something shifted. And we had such a brilliant speaker, and I'm bringing her back in as part of the faculty for this round, Dr. Jordan Wiggins. And oh my God, I get goosebumps thinking about it. These women just like flipped, something just turned on. And what came out of that workshop, it didn't like just change things in the bedroom for them. It changed the way they showed up in their own body, the relationship with their own body, understanding that pleasure is not just about sex, that pleasure is literally like, where do you experience pleasure in your life, right? In everything that it is that you are doing. And that pleasure is not dependent on another person. So that was a huge one. I bring in financial experts that work with women on their money story, on their wealth, on understanding like where you're at, and then those next steps. So we talk about the financial wealth that's impacting your health and your money knowledge. So many women are not very financially literate. And I know this because working with women in the capacity that I do, money is always the reason. This is too expensive. I can't do it. I can't afford that. Is there a discount code for this? Is there a promo coming up? Is this going to be for free? It's never ending working in a community with women. It's always that. And I get it. I'm here for a good discount as well too, but we have to ask ourselves why that's always the route that we go. Like, has growing up in a world of coupon clipping impacted us that much? Or believing like, no, I don't know the women who are asking the same thing to pay for their kids' hockey or their child's dance, or for, the car that they want, or for the bags they want to own, or for going out for dinner, or whatever the heck it is. But all of a sudden, when it comes to us, there's no money, right? So we really explore that and we go deep on that. And also as well to help to like, there is a difference between creating a budget and actually managing your money. And you want to get excited about the numbers. And so we spend time helping you to get excited about your numbers. And for those who come in who are in business or entrepreneurship, we also talk very creatively about how you can create multiple profit streams, how you can have a plan B so you do not have all your eggs in one basket. We've seen in the last couple of years, people losing jobs, the economy is changing and shifting. Are you prepared, and how well are you situated with your finances to take care of yourself as a woman, to take care of your children if you have them, to take care of your home, or have to replace somebody else's income if that happens? This is really important. And so we spend time going into that as well too. And again, it's creating the connections with these different experts that I bring in so that you could then potentially do work with them if you needed to, like book something to go into a deeper dive. It's really, I don't want to say like it's a sampling of so many different things, but I've tried to create this opportunity to expose you to so many things that are literally out there that get diluted because of how noisy Instagram is, how noisy email marketing is, Facebook, everything. Every day you are getting hit, whether or not you recognize it, with hundreds, if not thousands of messages as to where your attention should be pulled. And sometimes you discover great things. You're sitting here tonight. I hope this is a great thing you discovered. And other times things are there on purpose to distract you from the bigger picture. We'll do this to ourselves. We might get uncomfortable talking about money or relationships or intimacy or our, connection with our own body, our divine feminine. And instead we're like scrolling on our phone right now and not paying attention. We're watching Netflix at night. We're numbing it down with alcohol. We're exercising too hard. We're replacing it with something else. And so again, this is a big part of exploring. When you come into the Audacious Woman, the first thing you do for me is fill out this huge soul print for yourself. And it helps me, it's pages on pages. And I actually ask the women to print it and handwrite it, not electronically. And I do have a reason why. Number one, we all need to still be able to use our hands and write our names and words. That's important. But there is a different energy that happens when you put pen to paper, especially when it's things that are near and dear to your heart. When you put pen to paper, there is a different energy that comes through you. And that's what I want to capture. That's what I want to read. So you fill out this big long blueprint for me. And I tell you and give you a recipe to sit down and make an awesome elixir and cozy up and just carve out a couple hours for yourself. And it might not take that long, but what a gift to do that. And then we go into an hour and a half deep dive just about you. I will have read your soul print at that point. I will have made some of my own notes. And for that hour and a half, it is all about you. I'm going to ask you some questions and you're truthfully going to story tell. And I want to understand more about who you are. And I do this with every woman that comes into the group. One of the reasons I only take 10 women as a whole is that this is not like other programs I run where, you know, there's protocols set out, or I have other team. No one else works with you other than me on my team. I have like my tech team in the back, but you're not working with a different coach. Like, it's me that's working with you. And I have boundaries. I only have so much energy. I want each woman to have a really, beautiful experience in this. And I want to be able to support and hold space for the group as a whole. And I know my capacity, and I have capacity for 10 this year. I took 12 last year and it was beautiful. And last year I had the capacity. I've gone through massive changes of moving my family across the country and have other things happening as well too. And when I tune in and ask, my body's like, Jen, 10 is good. So that's where I'm at with it. For that. So, it's that, and it's so much more in terms of what we're tapping into, talking about your boundaries and connection. You're led by me and then my colleagues and my network who come in. So typically, this is how it rolls. We have a monthly call the first Thursday of every single month. So we start in December. Very much of what is the basis of this is all around the moon cycles and the feminine energy cycles. So you are going to come out of this knowing the moon cycles inside and out, what that means on an energy level, on a cognitive level, on a spiritual level, so many things. Your lunar wisdom is going to be so sharp and turned on. I also teach the women who still have a menstrual cycle how you feather that in, or what if you don't have a regular cycle? How do you tune and tap into that? You're going to understand how the lunar cycle and that energy in your body also taps into the seasonal changes. So that first meeting in December, we're still technically in the fall, but we are going to be cultivating that new moon, fertile void, winter energy as we come into our solstice. And I'm going to give you some different tools and different things to help you harness that. When you first join me, you get this beautiful welcome box that I hand curate. I pick from small grassroots companies and businesses. Almost 100% of them are all female run and operated. And I select and pick every single product that goes in there. My daughter and I wrap it all, we pack it all, we ship it all. This is literally a labor of love, what I put into this, and it is all me. I do not outsource any of it. And so I've already been like, I was on DMs, voice messaging other women today and being like, I've seen your product. I love it. I want to be able to order this. I want to give this for a gift at this time and that. So you get this welcome box. And then typically for each retreat, I might be known to send more gifts and to send things that I think that can help you create either like a beautiful, altar behind you of things that connect to. It might be different essential oils. It could be books. It could be something really beautiful, like a piece of art, just all different things. Like one of the gifts last year for the ladies, one of my best friends, Kelly, lives in Perth, Australia, and she actually harvests white quartz from the Australian desert. And so I gave some of those as gifts, as pendulums. I had her make these beautiful sterling silver lunar moon necklaces for some of the ladies. Like for me, so gift giving is one of my love languages, and there has to be the right energy around it, that it's not just a thing. I am not here for objects. I don't want you to own more stuff. So there's got to be something in that we're going to use and put to use moving forward. Like I said in the beginning, I bring in a human design expert. And so you all fill out your human design chart in this. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can do a quick little, DuckDuckGo or Google, or go on to Instagram and just punch in the hashtag human design. There's many different, not many, there's like 5 different types of human design: projector, which I am, manifestor, generator, Mani-Gen, reflector. And so we all have this individual blueprint. You need to know when you were born and where you were born, and like the time of day you were born and your birth date. in order to get that. But we work with a human design expert to help you understand more about that blueprint. I have an intuitive healer and energy worker that joins us every single retreat, who is my personal intuitive energy worker, Melanie Hustis, that I have worked with for almost 3 years now. Transformational in my life, transformational for the women that work with her and who did last year in the Audacious Woman. And she joins us every single virtual retreat that we have and does a 2-hour. We work through a lot of things. We do guided meditation. She does virtual healing. It's beautiful. And then we do talk somewhat about business. And it really honestly just depends on the women that come in. If I have more entrepreneurs and more people who are in that and they have the questions, I don't talk to you about like creating funnels and landing pages and opt-ins and those types of things. It's about how you can create the energetic blueprint for your company, the boundaries you'll need to create in your business, and how you can make a kick-ass amount of money doing what you love and dropping all of those restrictive, dogmatic rules you've placed on yourself around how you do the work that you do, how you show up, and the amount of money that you can earn. And I create opportunities for people to come on my podcast, to present to the group. I have a handful of the women that are coming back as part of the alumni that will also help to support some of our breakout sessions, where you get to actually work more closely and connect as the community that you are. So some of the other things that you'll receive is everybody gets a membership into Synced, which is my online studio and movement program. And this, I think, is really important, because if we're going to tune into the lunar cycles and our body cycles and the seasons, I want you to understand this on nourishing your body according to it, moving your body according to it. If you already have Synced, then you have one of two options. You could either donate it to another woman who you think would benefit, or you can get an additional 60-minute deep dive with me that you could use at any time over those 10 months that we're together. So our monthly calls that happen are 2 hours. They're not an hour. We go 2 hours. We really show up. Typically, I'm going to give you some questions and things to think about or kind of work on ahead of time. We meet as a meeting, not a webinar. So we're all on camera. And we connect. We don't type in the chat bar, we talk, right? So it's like kind of hand up, and we connect and communicate in that way. And it's really amazing. So the retreats that I've been talking about, we have 4 of them a year. So they are 2 days long. I host retreats on Thursdays and Fridays so that you have your weekend. You have your weekend to download. You have your weekend to process. You have your weekend to have your weekend. And so we typically start ours on Thursday afternoons until the evening, and then Friday morning until early Friday afternoon. I bring in 2 to 3 guest experts for every single retreat experience. Every retreat is accompanied by a guided worksheet and by a specific theme that we move through based on the season that we are in. So the first retreat that's happening, so we have our kickoff class on December 2nd. And then our first virtual retreat is December 9th and 10th. Everything we do is recorded, and we have a custom membership site that is created only for the Audacious women. Everything is uploaded there. You have access to all of your information there. You can go back at any time and rewatch or re-listen. I'm to the liking of re-listening on a walk when I hear something really inspiring. And so that first virtual retreat is all about the waxing moon energy. It's the preparation for the fertile void of winter. And this is happening during waxing moon, which is follicular energy, but those few weeks after, you're going to be moving into a very different time. You're also coming into the holiday season, which is a very charged period of time for many of us for a lot of reasons. And originally I was going to start this November, and I was like, ooh, again, tapping into it. I was like, December feels so much better, because I just feel like I can love on you 3 times in that month before you head into the holidays. And then we come back in January for our next connection. Our spring retreat is March 17th and 18th, again, a Thursday and a Friday. Then we meet in June, the 17th and 18th, and that is our summer bliss retreat that we have. And then we have our final retreat in September, the 22nd and the 23rd. So all the dates are already all laid out for you. So you can plan your year out. Once you register, which if you are interested, you have to fill out an application for this. So if you go to jenpike.com/the audacious woman, you fill out an application, the applications are reviewed by me. And then if I feel like it is a great fit, then I will send you, I'll send you the registration information, and then we get to book our deep dive together for that. So you can even do that right now as I'm talking and go to that link. I have 8 spots that are left for this. So I'm just trying to think of anything else in there. Do I have anyone who's completed the mentorship that might be willing to share their experience? Oh, I have lots of them. They're probably not on here tonight because they don't need the info session. Every single one of those women would share their experience. So you can just message me, Cassandra, and I can send you a whole bunch of testimonials that we've collected from all of those women. If you were on my stories yesterday, I was sharing about one of the women. So she's in Calgary. She has a very high stress human resources job in corporate, has created her Plan B company, which is called Bloom with Love. And it is going to be supporting women who are going through fertility struggles, who have experienced pregnancy loss. And I'm teaching her how to do this in a way to be able to, she doesn't have to leave her current job right now to make this happen. How can you saddle up next to it and start to create and cultivate the next version of your passion project and start to earn the income? And, for her, it's like, I have probably 4 or 5 entrepreneurs that were in that group that became entrepreneurs. Gave them exposure on the podcast, connected them with key people to join to their team, to help them on the back end, right? All of those things. So you can fill out the application. It is a 5-figure investment. It is a $10,000 investment that you can pay in full or you can pay monthly. And no, we don't offer discount codes on this. If anybody was thinking about that, this is a very, very different offering that I put out there into the world. Last year, I didn't even do an info session about it. I literally just reached out to a few women and all those spaces filled up. And to be honest, when we were coming into this one, I was like, I haven't actually talked about this, and started talking about it a couple of days ago. And now here we are tonight. So any questions about anything, what's included, what to expect, any of that you have? I am all ears. Yes. Yeah. So no, not everybody was moms. There were 3 in the group that were not moms and 9 who were mothers. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just reading some of them that are coming to me on the side here. No, you do not. So that's a great question. So just asking about where you live in the world. So the dates, or the times rather, for the virtual retreat, I wait to see the container of women that come in, depending on where people live in the world, and obviously try to choose a time that everybody is able to attend live for those retreats, because there's just so much juiciness and goodness that come out of being there and being live. So once I actually see who the women are and where they live, then I'll nail down. But typically I try and do it so that it's afternoon to evening the one day, and then morning to afternoon the next day. So that, again, you're done by early Friday afternoon and you can have that entire weekend. Yes, you do. You get contact info from all the other women who'd like to participate. We have a Signal group that is outside of our Facebook community. So we have our Facebook community, and then we have a private Signal group where, like, we were just on there this morning, chatting, talking, all of that. Again, it becomes a very, very, very close-knit community. And, a lot in the beginning, like, it's new, right? When you're meeting new people, may not be that in the first couple of months. The thing I love the most is so many of the women ended up connecting outside of the actual mentorship and, going out for a tea or connecting over Zoom, supporting one another in different things that they were creating. So there is, there's a lot for it. But this, for me, in working with these women, I want to work with women who you're just simply ready. You're ready to step into it. You're ready to step into creating it for yourself. You are tired of overthinking. You're tired of the overwhelm, and you are insatiably curious about how life could change for you in the next year, because every single woman that joined the Audacious Woman, not the same woman she was when she first signed up, not the same woman. And so we'll be starting to share some of the testimonials from all of the ladies in the group. Probably on Instagram is where we'll share them. And if you want us to email you any of those, we can absolutely do that. But if you're interested, head over to jenpike.com/the Audacious Woman. Any questions you have, if it's not a question you feel comfortable asking me on here, or you're just thinking about, just creep your way into my DMs. Send me a DM. I will voice message you. That is typically the way that I like to respond to people. As you can imagine, it gets very noisy in there. And I also just think it's nice when the time permits to hear a human voice. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions at all for that. And I don't think any of you have any other questions here. So if you don't, then we can finish up tonight with all your info. Do you have an understanding of what this is? Have I explained it in a way where you're like, okay, I get it? That would be the question to ask yourself, right? Because oftentimes it's where we talk about things that involve our energy and shifts and change like that. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's tangible, right? There's lots of tangible that comes in this. What type of gifts? That's a very woman question. What type of gifts? All different things. So like I was saying, it may be books. It may be like the final graduating gift just arrived for all the ladies today at my house that I'll be shipping out. And it is something to propel them for the next year. It's a tool to use for that moving forward. It may be crystals. I sent them different supplements to actually support their body, different body care products. Actually, Cassandra, who's on here tonight, I gifted them with planting a practice products, rose water, some different things that were in there. So again, and this is for those of you who are entrepreneurs. I am a conduit and a connector. So one thing I thrive off of is introducing people to other people and other opportunities to grow and expand what it is that you are currently doing. So thinking about it in that respect as well too. And there's a couple new things this year gift wise. There's one thing that I'm handcrafting and creating that will be going out. I can't tell you everything about the gifts because then that's not a surprise. Just know that they're really amazing and they're typically not things that you would buy for yourself. Okay. Roughly how much time is spent per week, per month? Oh, it's not a curriculum. It's not a curriculum. So we are together as a group for 2 hours once a month. Our retreat days are longer. They're typically about 12 hours over the 2 days, like 6 hours over those each days. And then some of the different kind of soul work that you're given and things, you could move through that in a couple of hours over the course of the month. The bigger transformations and changes that happen are like while you're actually getting up and living life and doing your thing. So there's not like a curriculum where you have to get things done. It's not like assignments due or anything like that. I will have like the ladies right now from this round. I sent them some because we have our next meeting on Thursday next week. And so I sent them, some preemptive questions to ask, and then they just answer the questions and email it to me. And then that'll be infused into what we're working on Thursday as they graduate and move forward. So it's not a ton of time. Again, and that's why I don't call this a mastermind. Because it's not curriculum based. It is so much deeper than everything happens live. There's not pre-recorded modules you're watching or anything like that. It's all happening live. So it's different in that regard. I'm really, really into astrology. I'm so glad that you've included this in your program. What does the financing look like? So you can do monthly payments. And we can set that up on the back end. There's actually the option when you go into the link. So you can pay in full, you can split it into 4 payments, 2 payments, or you can pay monthly. It's totally up to you. What day night do you meet monthly? On Thursdays. So it's the first Thursday of every month from 7 until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is consistent. So the whole schedule is already written out for the entire 10 months. So that is that. And then the retreats, I have the whole schedule laid out for that as well too. And so when you get the recording of this, you'll get a link and it'll take you in. You can read all the details I talked about what's included and what's involved and all of those dates. And then you can cross-reference that with life, and see what you have going on as well too. You're welcome, Cassandra. The energy piece. Okay, yes. So that is with Melanie, and the energy, I don't even know how to describe it, because again, it's not something you can like touch or measure. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. We all have various kind of wounds that we carry through our life, whether it's like the womb wound of things that we've kind of brought forward into this life that we're living now, moments where we were made to feel a certain way, or where we experienced something. And for us as women, I think for a lot of us, we just like, I'm fine, I'm through it, I'm good now. And we kind of just pack it away. I'll oftentimes say like we create a basement inside of our body. We create the basement in our pelvis. We create the basement in our hips. We create the basement in the liver, and we just pack the stuff away. And it just builds and it weighs us down, and it creates stagnation, and it impacts us in a way that we may not realize. We may be jumping from the chiropractor to the osteopath to Chinese medicine, to all these things that are so beautiful and wonderful, and I love and do them all. But we may be jumping around looking for this and that, when truly the solution is inside of us, and we've just yet to meet the person who can help us to pull that to the surface. And I'm not talking about this in like a psychologist way or talk therapy or any of that. We do bring some CBT into this. I do have a colleague of mine who does cognitive behavior therapy that we bring in, but it's not necessarily about that. It's recognizing like, what are the things that we are holding on to in the quilt and the fabric that make up who we are, and how is that actually showing up in our life? How is that impacting or interfering with who we want to be? Right. And I share a lot about this in my own journey. When we start working together in a group, I share a lot about this stuff on my podcast as well, too. And I think that when you can see other women being vulnerable, sharing, opening up, it definitely creates the space for you to be able to do the same, and then shift from being vulnerable about it into action, right? Like not getting stuck in the muck of it and then just being like, well, these are the cards I was dealt. It's like, okay, we've acknowledged it. We're going to allow ourselves to feel it. We're going to do the work around it. And then we are actually going to use that as fuel and momentum to help us to move forward. So we stop repeating the same darn pattern over and over again. The only thing I ever want you repeating is rituals that bring you joy. That is it. That is it. But we get stuck there. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Yes, you're welcome. Amazing. Is there a possibility that any retreats would be in person? Oh, dear Lord, I would love that. No, I don't offer any discounts on this. Again, I only take 10 women for it. I would love to be able to do in person one of the retreats. That was my goal and desire for last year. We did sneak in an in-person lunch, although we had 4 ladies that were out of province that unfortunately at that time couldn't fly in. And yeah, I would love to, but I cannot make that promise and say, yes, we'd be able to do that, because I have no idea what in the world the rules are going to be. And I am in BC, and not everybody is choosing to get vaccinated. And if the rule does come down where you can't fly domestically without having it, I can't get to you. And some of you would not be able to get to me. So that would be the tricky part. If you're in Ontario, it's a 5-day drive to BC. So right now, I can't say yes to that. There are discounts for other things. Yes. Once you're inside the Audacious Woman, your full script discount with me, you get 25% off all of your supplements and your products that you order through Full Script, which Full Script is my personal dispensary. So in the Hormone Project, women get anywhere from 10 to 15%, depending on what they are ordering. But inside of the Audacious Woman, you get 25% all of those products. You get different access to discount codes. And again, you get a lot of the gifts that I send out as well. Yeah. Amazing. We're almost an hour on the dot. So good. Okay. Well, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much. I want to say thank you for, you do not sound cheap, don't worry. I want to say thank you for joining me. I want to say thank you for staying on with me. I want to say thank you for just being open to the what if and to hearing what it's all about. Like I said, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can head over, you can review the page, The Audacious Woman. If you go to jenpike.com/The Audacious Woman, And you can apply, or you can just reach out to me, jen@jenpike.com. Would I have taken this course Cassandra, if this course existed when my kids were 2 and 4, which is the age they were when they opened up the studio, the trajectory at which I would have been able to move forward, let's just put it this way, I would not have had all of those body crashing moments on the couch for multiple days. The desire of this is so heavily rooted in when Sam and Emerson were 2 and 4 years old, because those were the ages where I was drowning. And I had so many dreams and so many desires, and I opened up the business, and it was like simultaneously all the things I had hoped for were happening. And at the same time, I felt like I was also dying a slow death, and my body started to present that for me. So hell yeah, if this was around when my kids were 2 and 4, I would have done it. And I'm just telling you that honestly, because I know you and I've known you for years. It would have been a yes. I hope that helps you. You're welcome. Yes. So no, I'm not hosting this again this year. This is the group I'll start to work with in December, goes all the way until next September. So I won't be doing another enrollment until November of next year of 2022, which that sounds crazy to talk about, 2022. So this only happens one time a year for that. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. All right, beautiful, lovely, audacious ladies. Thank you again so much for all of your time. It really means a lot to me. Have a beautiful rest of your night, and I hope to connect with many of you very soon. Take care, everyone.